to get ready for putting out our Christmas. We're trying to do all the things. And so, Victoria, we are going live on both Facebook and YouTube. So when you come on, please give me a thumbs up or a heart to let me know that you're here. If you would, over on YouTube, like this video. It sure helps us to grow. And over on Facebook, if you would sprinkle this video, I would so appreciate it. And what I mean by sprinkle is to share this video. That sure helps us with our growth. So we would so appreciate that. When you come on, please tell me hello, how you're doing today. Tell us where you're from. We love to know that. So, who did I tell you wanted a centerpiece? Miss Barbara Neal asked if we could do a fall centerpiece. And so, I know it is not Thanksgiving yet, but it is just around the corner. And Miss Barbara Neal asked if we could put together something that would work beautifully on a table as a centerpiece. So that's what we're going to work on today. We've got some beautiful product from Budsy, and so I'm so excited to work with some of their pretty things. Victoria is here and she is going to read our comments. So talk to me. Ask me questions as we go. You know we love to hear you and hear what you have to say, all the things. So today we're going to start with a long, low wooden dough bowl. So this dough bowl, we actually have these here in our shop. I think we have, right now we have 3, including this one left. And then we have some smaller ones. But these really make a fun centerpiece. Of course, it is a long container. It works perfect for something to lay long on your table. And I'm going to show you how you can use a floral foam in this container and have fresh flowers that'll last a little while for you. So we're going to start out with a little bit of foil paper. This is a foil paper we use here at the flower shop, not only to line containers, we also use it to wrap plants. Many years ago, when I first started in the floral business, this was the only way we ever wrapped plants, was with foil paper. Well, now we use a whole lot of baskets. But when COVID hit, we had a hard time getting our hands on baskets. And so we had to go back to the foil paper. So we use foil paper for several things. We line containers, we wrap back plants, we do all the things with foil paper. But what foil paper is it's plastic lining on one side and then it's a pretty foil on the other. And so it works out perfectly to keep things from getting your container wet or your plants from leaking on the floor. It just works really great to line things.
Miss Kay asks, how is your tooth?
My tooth is so much better, Miss Kay. My face is a little tender from all the shots. It almost feels a little bruised, but it's so much better. I can eat without pain, so it's wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for asking. So I'm just going to take this foil paper and I've just laid it right into this container, and I'm just going to kind of roll it over and kind of just make a little edge with that foil paper. Now, the only issue we have with this container in particular is if I tape on this wooden bowl, it's going to pull the color off. When you pull that tape up, it's going to pull that varnish off of this container. Excuse me, my nose is itching. So I'm going to show you how we're going to make this work. I'm going to take my floral block. So this is 1 block of fresh floral foam. It has been soaked. I'm going to take it and cut it lengthwise in half. I'm just going to take my floral knife and cut it in half, just like that. So I cut it in half. I'm going to put 1/2 on one side, and I may have to trim it. Yep. I'm going to trim just a little bit, and I'm going to put the other half on the other. And then I'm going to take that foil paper and kind of wrap it around that end so that it doesn't leak into my wooden bowl.
On YouTube, Miss Becky says hello from North Carolina.
Hello, Miss Becky. Welcome, friend. So glad you're here.
And Michelle says, finally catching you live again. Love all your videos.
Yay, yay, yay. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so here's my little trick into keeping this foam in place so your flower arrangement doesn't fall out. I'm going to use some bind wire. Now, bind wire is not going to stick to the side of my container, so it is not going to pull off the varnish on my container, but it will hold my floral foam into place, but it's not going to look too different than my container. Does that make sense? So I am just taking this bind wire, I'm running it right up underneath that container. Now let me show you one little trick. I'm going to pull out a stem. I'm going to show you a trick to keep that wire from biting into that foam. Take a tiny little branch, and it can be a stem from a flower, whatever, and just twist that bind wire, lay it right on top of that foam where you're going to twist that bind wire right over that that little stem, and it is going to keep it from cutting into that foam. I don't know if you can see that very well. Can you see that at all on that video? A little, but I'll step forward and show you. So I'm just taking that bind wire, running up underneath that container. We get another little stem, lay it right on top of that foam, and just twist, just like a little bread tie. Just twist it.
Miss Mary Lou says, hello, how are you both doing? How is your mom today?
Mama's doing pretty good. I haven't talked to her this afternoon. Talked to her this morning. She's so positive. She says she's feeling so much better this round. So what a blessing. And I know it has to do with all these wonderful prayers from you guys. Thank you so much for your prayers and your healing thoughts and all the things, because it sure does make a difference, I tell you. Okay, I'm going to step forward so you can see what I did. I did not do the little stem on this one. Let me put that little stem on there. You know, foam is so easy. It's easy for this wire to cut into that foam and hold it in place. I'm going to step forward so you can see. See where I put those little stems? Can you see it at all, Victoria? So I laid those stems right on top of that foam, but see where that wire is just kind of wrapped around that container, and then I just twisted it right onto those stems. And that way, that little wire does not cut right down into that foam, and it's not really going to get in the way on here. But I'll show you how we're going to cover all that. Okay, next we are going to take some of these fall foliage bouquets. So I don't know if you remember, but back in the spring, I don't get these very often because they're not cheap, but they sure are fun to work with. So these are fall bouquets. You can get them in the spring. You can get them year round, really. And they're foliage bouquets. I picked these, I ordered these from Budsy. All of the products you're going to see today are Budsy products, but I ordered these from Budsy. So this mixed bouquet has some, I don't even know what the name of this palm is. It's a type of palm. Y'all tell me. What's the name of that? It has some variegated pittosporum. It has some preserved oak leaves. Look how pretty those preserved oak leaves are. It has a little bit of leather leaf, and then it has these fun little cattails. Look at those little cattails. So it's a pretty good size bundle of all this foliage, and so I thought this would be fun to work with. I like different, I like surprises, and so a lot of times I will tell Donna, send me something pretty to work with. So she did just that this week. She sent these beautiful bouquets of greenery, which I just like to have something a little different. It's fun to work with different. And then she also, another thing I got her to pick out for me were these coffee cream roses. So a couple of weeks ago we had coffee milk, was that the color? And it was really kind of a tan colored rose. It was a painted rose. Well, that's exactly what the coffee milk is. I mean, the coffee cream I had to put my sticker right here because it wouldn't stay in my head. The coffee cream is also a painted rose, but it's a really creamy, warm cream colored rose, which is really neat to work with, and I thought this would be perfect with this autumn theme. So we're going to use these roses. I've got some Starfighter sunflowers, we've got some painted thistle, lots of pretty things. We're going to start out first though with our greenery. So let's use our foliage that came in that beautiful fall foliage bouquet. I like to use these a lot in the spring around Valentine's Day because it already has all the pretty foliage in it. I don't have to think about going in that cooler and grabbing different foliages. I can just take this bouquet, cut it, drop it in a vase, and design. And so that's always nice. It's a time saver, especially for a big holiday.
Miss Martha asks if it's sago palm.
It's probably sago. That's correct. Okay, and then this is another palm. Well, one of them has rounded leaves, and this has pointy. It's really prickly. And I know it's a type of palm too.
Terry from Atlanta, from the Atlanta area, says it looks like sago palm, Cycas revoluta, cycad palm, or sago palm from the dinosaur ages.
Thank you, friend. Thank you so much. I knew somebody would know. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I'm going to take this leather and I'm just going to cut it into some tiny pieces. I'm going to lay this over to the side so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to take the leather and just cut it into small pieces and just kind of fill in.
Sheila Kendall says, hello from the Northeast Georgia mountains. Love to watch y'all. Brings back memories of growing up in my great aunt's florist shop. Yellow is my favorite too.
Aw, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you. Yes, yellow is so pretty.
Melanie Gomez says the pointy is sago, the other is, I may mispronounce this, kuntai?
Kunti fern.
I believe she says.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, thank you. I knew that y'all could help me. Some of the different palms throw me. It's kind of like orchids. I don't know why. I can get most of it, but palm, there's so many different varieties. And orchids, there's so many varieties. I always mess up an orchid, so I always have to just look those up. So I'm just taking this leather, I'm just coming around. I'm trying to cover that foam. So, I mean, and this is not hugely important, but this is just kind of helps to cover.
Miss Julie says, I've been searching for the perfect dough bowl. Maybe I should have my son-in-law make one.
Oh, absolutely. My daddy makes us lots of bowls. He did not make these. But I said, Victoria, should I run home and get a dough bowl real quick? And she pulled this one out. She said, why don't we just use this one? So this worked perfect. The nice part is it's kind of long and low. It's real narrow, but it certainly works for this little long, low centerpiece.
Miss Marianne asks, she says, sorry I'm late to the party. What are you making?
This is a centerpiece. Tell me again who asked us to make
Barbara Neal.
Miss Barbara Neal asked us to make a little fall centerpiece that could be used for a dinner table it could be used for a dinner party, but this one she was thinking for Thanksgiving. It'll be here before we know it, won't it? Hard to believe. And so Miss Barbara Neal said, if you don't mind, make a centerpiece. And I said, we can do that. It's so nice, guys, when you send us suggestions, because it really helps. It helps us not have to think. So what I'm doing here is this is Pittosporum. And I love that Pittosporum does these little, it's almost a little floret of foliage. And so you can just take it and break it up into tiny pieces. And it's got tons of these little florets on the stem, so it works out wonderful to help me fill in. All right. Okay, so this is the Kunti palm, right? So I'm going to take it.
Winona Banks says, I just bought my first dough bowl. It's dough bowl. It's a little smaller than this one. I'm hooked on them for beautiful low arrangements. Pretty sure there will be bigger ones for me in the future.
Oh, they are so much fun to work with. They really, really are. I'm trying to lose all the stuff over here. Lay that on the floor.
Olivia says, love watching you and getting all your tips on arranging flowers.
Oh, thank you, friend. Thank you, thank you.
Eva Williamson says, hello, my girls. Enjoying the flowers and the visit. Can you make an arrangement with a candle in the center for Christmas? I'm going to try to copy you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. We sure can. So I'm just taking these leaves and I'm just kind of laying them on top of this arrangement. Now, if you don't like the shape of this leaf, you do not have to use anything like this. Honestly, you can certainly just go out in the yard and pick you some pretty foliage. To me, that's always just as much fun as making the flower arrangement itself. So you can certainly go out and cut your own foliage. I posted this morning a pretty arrangement from one of our followers. Sarah made it, and most of her foliage came out of the yard, and so that was really fun. So I'm going to take these oak leaves and I'm just cutting them into tiny pieces, and I'm just going to nestle them right into this arrangement. Of course, if you have pretty leaves in your yard, y'all, go get those leaves out of the yard. Don't buy leaves. In Mississippi, we have very few pretty leaves. They just don't color up in Mississippi like they do in other places. Well, in this part of Mississippi anyway. It's just, our weather just doesn't get cool enough because we haven't had any rain. What happens most of the time is our leaves just die and fall off. We don't get all this pretty color. And so we use a lot of leaves that are preserved just like this.
Pam says, hey friends, working on Christmas, getting stuff ordered for my tree. I'm designing a Royal King of Kings and Lord of Lords theme.
Woo! We want to see a picture, Cam, when you get finished. Please share. You start your Christmas trees. Let's share. We would love to see your Christmas trees.
Cam also says, or Miss Monty, any recommendations for colors to add to burgundy and gold? I'm thinking silver, purple, or maybe dark blue. I have real metal king crowns to add to it.
Ooh, purple is so pretty and it means royalty. Love the idea of purple, but I do like that navy. That navy is so pretty tucked in, especially with that burgundy. I don't think you can go wrong, my friend. You cannot go wrong. Okay, so there's our little fall leaves, and you can see I just took them and I just broke these little pieces up and just nestled those right in. I'm going to turn it, it's probably going to leak a little on my container, on my table, but there's our fall leaves. Does that, if y'all can see that? Okay, next we're going to come in, let's see. I do have a little moss. I wasn't sure if we would use any of that, but we might.
Miss Dawn asks if this is for a customer.
No, Miss Dawn, this is just Miss Barbara Neal asked if we could make a centerpiece, so that's what we're doing, making a centerpiece. All right, so we got in from Budsy this week these beautiful sunflowers. And so they're really kind of a creamy. They're not a bright, bold yellow. They're kind of a creamy yellow. Not so... I don't know, not so sunflower yellow. They're really kind of creamy. And so I felt like they were perfect. I'm dropping all my pumpkins on the floor. I thought they were perfect with our creamy colored roses. I thought that would really be pretty together. So we're going to start out with our suns because our suns are a larger flower. So we're going to use those first. I'm just going to take my knife. Now the one thing about a sunflower is you see how he looks the way he wants to, right? But I'm going to cut him short enough that it's not going to matter where he's looking because he's just going to nestle right down into this arrangement.
Sweetbriar asks if you use taper candles.
We do a little bit. It really is all up to the customer. But yes, we have used some taper candles.
Rona Voss asks if you have the dough bowl. can't say that word. Dough bowls for sale at the flower shop.
We do. We have this size dough bowl. I think we have 3 available right now. And then we have a smaller one that would be perfect for, like, I wouldn't say it's really, it would be more like perfect for your rings to put, you know, it's about this big, or a little candle holder. It's just a little wooden bowl, but it's perfect for a candle holder or to put like knickknacks or little tiny things. Little tiny treasures.
Miss Julie says, my goodness, this is perfect because I was thinking about a dough bowl for Thanksgiving too.
Yes, this is an easy way to add some pretty flowers to your table. Okay, so there's our sunflowers. I just kind of ran them down the center of that bowl. This is some millet. And we actually had it left over from another arrangement. So I thought we would tuck some millet in. Now millet is just and it does not break easy, it is just a grass seed. And so it's just a perfect texture and color to add to this arrangement. So I'm using it kind of as a line flower.
Sweetbriar asks if the dough bowls are on Shopify.
I will put them on Shopify. We'll get them on there this afternoon, and I will place a link for you up underneath your comment. So I'm just taking this little millet and I'm just popping it. I'm just using my fingernail, and some of it pops a little easier than others.
Dolores Harrison asks, how is your mouth feeling today?
It's so much better. Thank you, Dolores. It's so much better. Thank you for asking. Okay, so there's our millet. See all that pretty texture. Okay, next we're going to come in with our coffee cream roses. So, Budsy has lots of tinted flowers too. So what I mean by that is painted, like they'll take and paint, like this is thistle. Thistle is a true blue or a true green. They took this thistle and painted it a maroon, which we love here because we have lots of need for maroon, so this works out great. This will last forever. Quite honestly, it'll probably dry this way because it has been painted and sealed, so it'll probably dry this pretty. Well, this coffee cream rose has been tinted. The wonderful part about it is it doesn't look like a strange artificial tint. It's really just a really pretty warm cream color, which is so nice. And so I'm just going to take these roses. I'm not going to wire them. I'm just going to take them, cut them really short, and nestle them right into this centerpiece.
Michelle on YouTube says, I want one of the dough bowls, please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will get those up on our Shopify. We'll do that as soon as we get off. Yes, ma'am.
Eileen Ogden says, good morning from Brisbane, Australia. I have never heard of a dough bowl. What is it made of? Is it for making bread?
It is. So back in days long ago, they used to take these bowls, and they're just a wooden bowl that they used to put the bread in. They would knead it and put it in, cover it, and so it would be where they would let the bread rise. They'd pull it out, dump it out, knead it more, put it back in, and let it rise. And so they were just, I guess that's the reason they were called dough bowls. And they're different shapes. A lot of times they're just different shapes, but if it's a wooden bowl, we often call it a dough bowl. And I have several different ones that my daddy has made, which aren't like a traditional dough bowl. They're just a pretty wooden bowl. But they're fun to design in, and they're just pretty. So I'm just taking these roses, y'all, and I'm just nestling them right down into this arrangement.
Miss Rona Voss asks, how's Mama feeling today? Keeping her in my prayers.
Thank you, Miss Rona. Thank you so very much. She woke up. She said she didn't sleep wonderful last night, but they've taken her off her arthritis medicine, so she's just kind of achy. But she's feeling wonderful. Like physically, she's tired, but she feels so much better than she did the first time. So we are thanking our good Lord for a good, what am I trying to say? It's good reaction so far with this chemo. Okay, so I just took those roses and I just nestled them right down into this bowl. I have 3, 6, 7, 8, about 8 roses in there now. Next we're going to come in with these fun little pumpkins. So, and I dropped half of them on the floor. So these pumpkins kind of mimic the color of the of our roses. And so these are faux pumpkins. They actually, they came in, I think they came in like a little bundle of fall flowers that I used, but I didn't need pumpkins in it. And so I just had these in a container. So I said, let's use these pumpkins. So I'm just going to take my wire snips and I'm going to nestle some of these pumpkins right down in. Now y'all, it is okay to mix and match in an arrangement. You can use some faux flowers and use some real flowers. It's okay. It's your arrangement. You make it any way you want to. You can even use, you could use fresh pumpkins if you had them. The wonderful part about artificial pumpkins though is I can use them again the next time I make a pretty fall arrangement. So that's what I like about using artificial things in with fresh, is that they can be reused.
Cam says, I'll make sure I send a photo. Can't wait to finish it.
Yay, Cam. We look forward to seeing what you've made.
Miss Margaret Smith says, my grandmother would make her biscuits in a dough bowl and leave flour in it for the next time.
Right, and it kind of stayed floured, right, Miss Margaret? Usually it would stay floured. I mean, it was a well-used bowl. I'm going to take my thistle and just cut it into tiny pieces. I'm going to leave it kind of long in this arrangement to give us kind of some height and some texture. But you're just going to take, and so you can see I'm just kind of layering different things.
Pam Ellis says, I have my grandmother's dough bowl that age made biscuits in, and it has a hole in the bottom from so many years, so much use over the years.
Yes, and a lot of times, like with Daddy, he'll go and cut wood to make his bowls with, and sometimes because that wood wasn't dry when he started using it, it was still green. It will cause a crack too every once in a while. And I tell him, I don't mind it having a crack, Daddy. I'm happy with a crack. It doesn't have to hold anything necessarily. I just like it pretty. So I'm just taking this thistle, and look how cool. I love the fact that thistle has lots of little long stems, and you can take it and cut it up and just kind of nestle it here and there in your arrangement. I love the color of this painted thistle, but of course, if you don't like painted things, you certainly can use all natural stuff. And go and harvest from your yard. I want you to think about that every time you make a flower arrangement. Go and take as much out of the yard as you can find, because that makes it even more fun. I have these beautiful, sweet little billy balls. Billy balls are also called Crispedia. Crispedia is just a little round yellow orb, which is a fun pod. The best part about the billy balls is they dry. They dry beautifully. Like I've got them just in little jars on my windowsill, where they've just dried so pretty. And so I'm just going to take them and cut them and nestle them right in.
Donna Coker asks if you would paint some thistle one day for them.
Sure, and you're just going to take, with that thistle, you can just take like hardware store paint to paint it. It's just like any foliage. You're just going to take any kind of paint. It doesn't have to be flower paint to paint those. Now, when you're painting flowers, like these roses for instance, you're going to definitely want to use a flower paint just because they can be damaged very easily. The petals are just tender. But with thistle and any kind of foliage, are we going dark? Mm-hmm. With thistle or any kind of foliage, you can, gosh, that seems quick, doesn't it? You can paint it with any kind of spray paint. So it can come from the hardware store or wherever. So these are called pencil cattails. They're tiny, tiny little cattails, but they're really fun. And I thought that we would tuck some of these in here. You can also use pine cones. If you have pine cones out in your yard, I think a pine cone would be beautiful nestled in here. Any kind of berries. A lot of times you'll find berries on like Nandina. You can cut some Nandina berries and tuck them on there if the birds have not eaten all your berries off your Nandina. But even Nandina here in Mississippi, and I'm sure it's in other places too, as it gets cool, it'll start to color. It'll start getting some pretty reds and autumn colors on it. So you can see how I've just filled up this bowl. It's filled with foliage. It's filled with the billy balls, it's filled with thistle, with different millets, lots of different fun things. The artificial pumpkins, remember that you can mix and match. So if you have an old wreath that you need to pull apart and you have some pretty berries that would work, be sure to tuck those berries right down in that centerpiece. It just really makes a pretty arrangement. Now you can also add ribbon. You do not have to, but you can add just a really pretty ribbon to your arrangement. And I happen to have this beautiful red with, it's almost a foil leaf. It's got an orange, kind of a coppery gold colored leaf. And these leaves are actually maple leaves, but they're fall, so I think they'll work with our oak leaves. And I thought we would just a smidge of this pretty ribbon over in this arrangement. Our arrangement does not have tons of color, but I thought this pretty pop of red with that bronze colored maple leaf would pull the red that comes in these are not magnolias. Why did my mind go to a magnolia? These sunflowers. And so I thought that we would take, and so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this, I'm going to cut a strip, okay? Just a strip of ribbon. And I am going to gather it right in the center, just like that. Now, if you do not have a wood pick, you don't have to necessarily use one. Use a little piece of wire and place it on just a stem. But I'm going to take this wood pick. It has a little wire on it, and I'm going to wrap that wire.
They're asking where Osa is.
I think he's outside. I know y'all haven't seen Osa in a while. We've got to get his old self in here. I think that he's outside. It's been such a pretty day. He slept in here a good long time, but I believe he's outside. So I'm going to take this ribbon. I just pushed that right down in the center. I just pushed it right in, and then I'm going to take this ribbon and just kind of nestle it in. So all it's doing is pulling that pretty red, that pretty autumn red. So I'm just going to cut another streamer or a strip, just like that.
Miss Sue says these are the prettiest colored sunflowers I've ever seen. Beautiful arrangement.
Thank you, thank you. I agree. They're some of my favorite. Now, my only problem with them is they don't want to stand up pretty. So you have to wire them because a lot of times they're looking off. They've got a mind of their own, kind of like a Gerbera daisy. And so they tend to look away. They don't want to do exactly what you want them to, but what really does. So we tend to have to wire them. So I just took that ribbon and I put it on a little pick, just like that. And I'm just nestling that ribbon. Now, ribbon is absolutely not a necessity. I just thought this ribbon was so pretty and would look so lovely nestled in.
Miss Barbara Neal asks, are you doing the arrangement I asked for? I just came on.
Miss Barbara, we are. We are doing an arrangement just for you, my friend. Thank you for requesting this. So I'm going to take this ribbon, y'all. I'm going to fold it in half just like that, and I am going to make a dovetail cut. It just kind of finishes that ribbon off. I don't know if you can see that little dovetail. It just kind of finishes that ribbon off. Now, I prefer not to add a big fluffy bow in here. If you wanted a bow, you certainly could add one. But I think the streamers are just right. And add that little bit of fancy to this arrangement.
Miss Julie says, I've dried milkweed pods and painted them also.
Absolutely. Or have you ever let your okra in the garden get hard? Sometimes if you didn't harvest the last part of the okra, you know, okra, if you don't harvest it just right and you let it get too old, it gets too hard to eat. And so if you'll leave the okra pods in the garden and just let them dry, they are fantastic in arrangements. Or even take some corn stalks and some of the husk from the corn. You can tuck that into an arrangement. There are so many ways to use things that you have available to you. Go out and cut grass, y'all. You can cut any of the grass's millet, which is so fun. You know, I love to go and harvest different things to add to arrangements. But absolutely go and cut all the things. And have fun. Make it even a scavenger hunt. Take the children, go out and pick up even large acorns. You can pick those up off the ground and nestle those down in. If you have, we don't have oak trees. I don't have any around me that have the huge acorns. We have tiny ones. But I've seen where people have picked up the large ones and filled up a glass vase with them and then nestled another vase in and did an arrangement, which is so fantastic, almost like the candy corn. Like you've seen me do the candy corn in arrangements. You can do that with actual acorns that you just picked up, or even pine cones are beautiful that way. But go out and pick up those beautiful things that are in your yard. Enjoy the things that you have and that are free of charge. And there is Miss Barbara Neal's centerpiece that she asked for. This arrangement includes the coffee milk roses, which are fantastic. It includes painted thistle, some millet, the Starfighter sunflowers, which are the most beautiful. I agree, they are so fantastic. Billy balls, and then that mixed bouquet of fall foliage. So the mixed bouquet, all of these flowers, again, they did come from Budsy, but the mixed bouquet actually comes with all those pretty mixed foliages. So you don't even have to purchase all the individual foliage. It comes just in one nice little bouquet that has all those different things in it. So that's always fun.
Miss Margaret Lynch says crab apples would be beautiful.
Crab apples, yes. And we have, or horse apples, those green Osage oranges or horse apples. Those are wonderful. Now, the only thing about those, I need to do an arrangement with those. We have some on the ground. I might do that this week. But the only problem with those is they sap. So it's kind of like a poinsettia. You know, if you break a poinsettia's petal or a leaf, it puts off that milky white sap, and it's sticky and it's messy and all the things. Well, those horse apples, which is a large green round orb, which is really big. Anyway, they also have that white sap, but they are beautiful nestled down in an arrangement.
Darlis Wharton says the ribbon certainly is lovely in there.
It kind of sparkles. It gives us a little bit of a sparkle. But now you can see how when I tied that bind wire around that foam, you're really not seeing the bind wire. It does not, you don't look at it and think, oh, I see that. It just blends in really well, so you can tell that that's just going to hold this arrangement in place without it going anywhere. And it's not going to ruin our container, which is the best part.
Miss Cheryl from Michigan says, hello, so happy to catch you live. The arrangements look great. I love the added ribbon.
Thank you, friend.
Send blessings to your mama. Have a happy Tuesday evening.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, guys, this ribbon is available in our Shopify website. So we do have this pretty maple leaf ribbon available if anybody's interested in that. And
called foil maple leaf.
Foil maple leaf is what that's called. But it is beautiful.
Miss Brenda asks, if you use the dried okra pods, do you need to spray them with anything?
You do not. You do not have to spray them with anything, but you can paint them, and they hold paint beautifully. Cotton bowls also are pretty in an arrangement. Now they kind of, what happens with cotton, I don't know if cotton grows anywhere near you guys, but here often people will bring in raw cotton and have us use it. The only problem is it tends to be a little dirty. What happens is as it rains, it splashes dirt onto the cotton, so it's not a perfect, pretty, clean cotton. So it's a little harder to work with, but you can also use cotton bowls tucked in, which are really pretty.
Miss Sharon says, show your website, please.
I will. Yes, ma'am. We will. I will post a link for you, and I will get these dough bowls on that website really quickly for you too.
Sweetbriar says, yes, I saw that ribbon. It was my next choice.
Isn't it beautiful? I love this ribbon.
Maria asks, do you ever use Sweet Honesty? I always remember them in dried arrangements when I was a child.
I don't know if I know what that is. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
Miss Julie says, my husband will be thrilled to hear we're going on a scavenger hunt.
Yay! It's so much fun, y'all. It really, really is. That to me is the most fun, to go out and cut. I'll go out to my sister's. She lives in a house that's kind of in the middle of a big field, and I'll go out there and we'll harvest. She calls them pasture weeds. I'm like, do not call these pasture weeds. These are beautiful.
Miss Rhea says, sorry, it's called Honesty.
Honesty. I guess I've never heard of it, but I'll look it up and see.
Miss Judy Roeder says, I used to slice and dry the horse apple slices and put them in arrangements. They were pretty.
So how did you dry them? Did you dehydrate them in like a dehydrator? Because I don't know how in the world you cut them without making such a mess, because they ooey gooey. They're real white sap. They're beautiful, and they're fun, and they're green, and they're fantastic. And we're going to use them this week to make an arrangement, because I think they're so much fun.
Miss Barbara Neal says, thank you so much for making the arrangement,
Yay,
Mommy.
you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you so much.
Miss Rona Voss says, Monty, you do the best designs. I could watch and listen to you 24/7. You have a way of teaching that holds your attention.
You are too kind, my friend. Thank you, thank you. I'm so thankful y'all are here. Thank you.
Let's see, you have a lot of people saying it's beautiful.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, thank you.
And
again, it's so simple, y'all. Just gather some things that you have around the house, and you can make a beautiful arrangement really out of grocery store flowers and just different things you found in the yard. It really could be that simple.
Sweetbriar says, Honesty has paper round petals.
Yeah, I don't know.
Miss Judy says you can dry them by putting them in the oven.
In the oven. Awesome. Huh.
I know I missed several not questions, but comments.
I'll go back. Thank you, thank you.
Guys,
thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for always coming and cheering us on. You don't know what a wonderful feeling it is to have you all here with us all of the time, and we love what we do, and we're so thankful that you do too. Guys, if you have any more questions, do not hesitate to ask. I am going to take this arrangement outside and take a good picture for you so you can see what the finished product really looks like. I really think it turned out lovely. I am going to go and get some pictures of these dough bowls, and I will get those on the website, and I will tag those who are interested, and we'll do our best to get some more ordered if you're interested in more than what I have available. Guys, thank y'all so much for being here, and we will see you tomorrow. If you are watching this video on replay, please put #replay in the comments and tell us where you're from. We love to know that, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you all real soon. Thanks, guys.